Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Turnaround Coach and another great lesson for you if you are working through a transformation in your organization, whether it be a school, a small business, a large business, it doesn't really matter. These concepts really can be relevant to any type of organization, but the most important thing is that it's about transformation and taking something from one place to the next with all of the great work that we do together right here on Turnaround Coach. So this week, I wanted to talk to you about climate and culture. If you've heard me speak before, if you've seen any of my advertisements for my programs, if you've been on my social media, you hear me talk about the fact that there are three big areas to really focus on when you are making any kind of transformation. Now, this could be you're going from being at a place where you're about to close your doors, you're failing, you're not where you want to be and you want to improve, or it can really be about just scaling to the next level. You've been here stagnant for a while and you want to make that change to the next level and elevate your business, your organization, or your school. These processes are super important. I talk about leadership skills, leadership development, organization, all of the things about leadership, super important. I think an organization cannot be a successful organization without the right leader in place. It doesn't matter how good your employees are, there are going to be areas that you will not be able to excel in if your leader is not skilled, is not ready, and is not in it for the right reason. Of course, systems, processes, and procedures are so important. I've spoken about that before right here on this YouTube series, but so important. Every organization that I've gone into where I see that something needs to change, a lot of times it's about the systems, processes, and procedures. And really, it's because people just assume everybody knows how to do things and they don't, or they've never put anything in place to begin with, and everyone is just reacting. And then the third one, of course, is what we're going to talk about today, climate and culture. And, you can have a great leader, but if the climate and culture isn't where it needs to be, you can have all the systems in the world in place. They can be smooth and efficient. But if the climate and culture is not where it needs to be, none of those things are going to matter because you've got a broken piece. Now, a lot of times I would tell my staff, running an organization, leading an organization, running a business, running a school, whatever it is like a car engine. And they would always look at me kind of funny, but then I would say, let's just think about this. You have to do maintenance, right? You have to look at your processes, your procedures, your climate culture, your leadership skills. You have to do all of these things, monitor them throughout the year, and make sure when they need service, like an oil change, you go get that service taken care of. You sit down, you reflect, you review, you make adjustments, you do what you need to do, just like your car when it goes to the shop for maintenance. If you don't do that, eventually what's going to happen to your car? If you don't take your car in for the oil changes, your car is going to run out of oil, and then it's going to break down. And then that's when we start to see problems. And that's going to be the same thing with your organization. If you're not in constant review, constantly monitoring, looking at what's working, what's not working, how do I need to adjust, what do I need to do next, how do I continue to move forward, then your organization is going to break down. Climate and culture. We talk about this so often, but do we really understand those two words and what they really are? I know that when I started out, I wasn't really 100% sure. To be honest, when I first started working on my master's degree and started learning about systems and how things worked, when they would say the two, I thought they were the same thing. And I was in a place as I was working on my master's that was the organization was running very, very well. I was very fortunate that I was at a school that was high performing, very efficient with its processes and procedures. The leadership was very, very good. And we felt good about what we were doing. We were empowered to continue to do good work. Now, that's not to say we never had problems, because that's life, right? You're always going to have your goods and your bads. But overall, we were doing a good job. And so I didn't have any really need to think about those things. But of course, when I took on my first school and every school after that, and helped others who were my colleagues, that wasn't always the case. And I had to learn real quick what the difference was with climate and culture, because when systems are not in place, when the leader is not ready for the task at hand, climate and culture are going to be affected. And they're two completely different things. So let's start with climate. When I looked up climate online to get a real definition, this is what I found. Climate is the properties of the perceived work environment by the individuals who work there. So I'm going to say that again. Climate is the properties of the perceived work environment by the individuals who work there. Now, I stress that word perceived, because let's think about, you as the leader may be thinking, oh yeah, things are going fine here. I don't understand why we have a problem. I don't understand why we're not going to the next level. But it could be because we're in a place where our workers, our employees, our staff is perceiving something different. They're feeling something different. And I always say, perception is reality. You may not have that perception as the leader, but they do. And when you talk about climate, it's not about your perception as the leader, it's about those that work for you. So for example, I always felt like I was a very transparent leader in the first years of my leadership. I was always very open and honest, and I was a good communicator, and I had my first survey come out. Halfway through the year, we did a survey, and I had a comment on the survey. I had this comment on my survey that really made me kind of step back and think, oh, whoa, what's going on here? And of course, as a new leader, I had to get past the personal feeling in it, right? Because I took everything personally. But the comment basically was, she is too direct. And once I was able to step back and I was able to kind of process it, I went to my staff, and of course the surveys were anonymous, but I went to my staff and I said, okay, guys, I got this comment on the survey. I just want to talk about this with you. The comment was, she is too direct. I'm not trying to be too direct. I'm not trying to be too harsh or in your face, but I do believe in being very open and transparent and honest. And after that conversation with the whole staff, this person came to me and said I was the one who wrote that. And they just shared their thoughts, and their perception was that my feeling of being open and honest was me actually being a little bit too like that. And we talked it through and all was good, but it was feedback for me that I needed to be able to kind of process, because that was affecting the climate on my campus. And so I think that sometimes we as leaders have this picture of, this is what we want the building to look like, the organization to look like, how we perceive ourselves to be running it. But sometimes our staff, our employees, our clients, our customers, whatever it is, see it in a different light. And so it's important to really understand that, because it really is about the perception of those individuals that work in your environment, are part of your environment, not necessarily what you're thinking. So to compare that to culture, let's talk about the definition I found for culture. Basically, one of the definitions was it is your environment's personality, your organization's personality. It includes the assumptions, the values, and the norms of your organization. And I always would explain it to my staff as it's how we do things here. It includes our processes and procedures. It includes what we expect from everybody as the staff, and including myself. It includes how we treat our customers. It includes all of those things. It is our brand if we were to relate it to something in current times. And everybody is so focused on their brand right now, right? What do I stand for? How do I show up? What do people know about me based on what they see every day through the work that I do? That basically is the culture of your organization. So if we think about climate and culture, if our perception is different than our employees, our clients, our customers, stakeholders, anybody that's involved with our organization, and we don't have processes, procedures, values, norms, all of those things in place, or they're not aligned with the work that we're doing, our culture, then clearly you can see how that can be a problem for our organization. Now, here's the great news. The great news is you can always grow and improve. And I think that that needs to be maybe one of our mantras as we are leading organizations, especially as we are going through transformations, because another site online said this: climate and culture are two of the most important things when making change. Now, last week I talked to you about how you support your staff when you are going through change. That's going to be part of your climate and culture. How do you follow up and treat your customers and clients if you're a very small organization? Maybe it's just you and one other person, or 5 or less. Really, it's going to be about the entire brand. So what can we do today to make sure that we're moving in the right direction? I think the first thing to do is sit down and assess where you are. And you can do that through some surveys, some conversations. If your staff, your people feel good about communicating with you, if they feel valued. If they don't feel valued, of course, those surveys are a little more appropriate because you can do those anonymously, and that allows people to feel a little more comfortable. You can also, though, sit down and really have the conversation with your people and be vulnerable, y'all. Admit that you don't have all the answers, because none of us do. And once you open up and you say, here's what I see is happening, I want to help us be the best, but we can't get there unless we can have open, honest conversations. I'm not going to take it personally, and you have to commit to that. Start to gather that information, because that's going to be the most authentic way that you're going to be able to hear from your people what their perceptions are. And maybe you even, depending upon the size of your organization, you use your leadership team to really help you work through this process. But then you also look at the other things, the data. For me, schools are, a unique organization just like everybody else. One of the things that I always like to look at when I was thinking about climate and culture was student discipline data. Because if teachers felt supported and happy, typically they had a well-managed classroom. If they didn't have a well-managed classroom, chances are, if you spoke to that teacher, no matter no matter if they had been supported or not, they would respond with, I don't feel like I'm being supported. I promise you. And within whatever your content of your organization is, whatever type of business you have, you can honestly look at some of those pieces of objective data to be able to determine, are things moving in the right direction, and how does that relate to the perceptions of my employees, of my clients, of my customers? You just have to probably get a little bit creative as to what you're looking at. I can imagine that if I were to have employees in this business right here, right, working with small businesses and helping them scale to the next level, I would definitely probably sit back and say, okay, what does my sales data look like? How many sales are we getting? Are we meeting our goals? Are we moving in the right direction? And then what's the feedback from our customers after their experience? If I could find that there was some kind of data there that could allude to the perceptions of what my employees were feeling, my salespeople in particular, if they're not happy with their job, if they don't feel like they're supported in their job, are they going to be out there trying to make the sales for me? Probably not. Are they going to be treating the customer with the best customer service? Probably not, if all that makes sense. So, climate and culture, first step, really get down to the nitty-gritty. Find out what's going on, talk to people, be open, be honest, be vulnerable, and don't take anything personal. I think that that is the first step in the right direction. Once you figure out what's going on, then that's an opportunity to, again, empower your people. Because then you can sit down and say, look, when I was talking with everyone, this is the information that I gathered. I'm ready now to put some action plans in place to help us get better. I need some assistance. I can't do all of this alone. I would like to develop a team who would be willing to be on the team. And that gives people that opportunity to feel valued. Oh, he or she values my opinion. They want my input into how we move forward. And that empowers people. And it really does go a long way when it comes to your climate and culture. And then once you get those things in place, that becomes, this is how we do things here. Embrace it. Put those processes in place. Put together roles and responsibilities. Put together expectations. Put together your values as an organization. And then share those with your people. If you onboard somebody new, a client, this is the way we do it. And this is just the way we do it. If we're bringing on a new staff member or employee, this is how we do it. And this is the only way we do it. We're creating content. This is how we do it. This is the only way we do it. It will go a long way for your brand, for the perception of your business, and for what you stand for, and will really make a huge difference. All right, y'all, those are my thoughts this week on Turnaround Coach. Of course, as always, if you would like more information about this or other ways that we could work together, please feel free to reach out. You can always find me at sherrydixonconsulting.com or email me at sherrydixonconsulting@gmail.com. I am here to help you. You can find me on social media. Just reach out, because the work that we can do together will truly elevate your organization to that place that you dreamed that you could get it to. But maybe there's just a few little things that we can do together to help you get there. All right, I will see you next week right here on Turnaround Coach.